What up, YouTube? Thanks for tuning into the channel. This one's gonna be pretty quick, but this is gonna be a book review. I didn't get it up by Sunday. Had to go to my sister's dinner, but yeah, this one probably gonna be a little controversial in the sense that the book I'm doing is Dianetics by Hubbard, and this book was, I guess, recommended to me by Grant Cardone. If you've been watching the channel, you know that a lot of what he talks about, I've been following him a little bit. But basically, I'll give you a brief overview why I think so. I looked at the reviews, and this shit got like a 1 star. Like, it got horrific reviews. So I didn't buy it immediately when he said it, because I'm like, why did it get such bad reviews? I don't want to spend my, like, Audible subscription on, like, my credit on something that nobody likes. But I read it, and I'll just tell you straight up, I liked it. I thought it was pretty cool. It is supposed to be scientific. Now, I don't really know. I didn't really go into detail trying to check references and shit where they're getting all their information from. But that's a big part of what the L. Ron Hubbard, whoever wrote it, well, it's L. Ron Hubbard, talks about. This is science and it's not theory. But take it for what you may. I'll give you the basic bullet points of what I took away from it. And I liked it. I think it's a book you should give a listen, even though it's 17 hours long in audio. But the first thing they talk about is the reactive mind versus the analytical mind. And basically this is that you have one mind that is a lot more primitive than the other mind. So your analytical mind is basically the smarter mind, the mind that really knows what the fuck to do. The reactive mind is the mind that's very primitive. And when we were basically less advanced and didn't have language, and he talks about language being the reason why you have a lot of problems in your life, the reactive mind helped a lot because it would basically just react right away, and then if something was fucking trying to kill you, you wouldn't have to sit there and size it up. Like, your reactive mind would just tell you, like, either fight, flight, or whatever, you know? And then, so those are the real two differences. And then the analytical mind is always right. That's one thing he always says. It will never be wrong. The only reason why it will be wrong is because there's what he calls engrams, and that's my second point. And engrams are what run the reactive mind. And when you have engrams, he puts it as, if you look at your analytical mind as a calculator will never be wrong. But if you have somebody holding the 7 down, all the calculations are going to be wrong because they're all going to be fucked up by you holding the 7 down. And he talks about you can have most people have a lot of engrams, and it's causing them to be reactive to certain situations. So I'll get into engrams. Engrams are created when you're unconscious. So he basically talks about it as if you view your mind as, so like if you feel intense pain, your mind can only take so much pain. So if you get punched in the face or punched in the temple real hard and get knocked out, you go unconscious. Your brain actually overloads from the stimulus of pain, and it turns off. So now your analytical mind is off. Your reactive mind is the only mind on. And whatever you're told under this time, such as, and it could be anything. It could be anesthetics when you're getting teeth pulled, or hypnosis. All of this is shutting off your analytical mind and talking to reactive mind. So now whatever's put into your mind during these points are called engrams. And what these do is it holds this information. And I mean, I'll get into that point later. But it holds this information, and when you're unconscious, you get fed a bunch of engrams. So if in hypnosis, if the guy tells you, whenever I do this, this is going to happen, that's put in your mind. When your analytical mind turns back on, it will have no idea that there's an engram there. Then, when somebody says the same thing that was put in there, what happens is what he calls a lock. Now, your reactive mind's going to go back to that information. And I got to stop pointing my head, because another thing with this is that he talks about the reactive mind, and the information held with engrams is actually in the cell level. It has nothing to do with the brain. So it's kind of a difficult topic to grasp. But I mean, I'm going to throw that part away a little bit, because you just got to read the book to really understand it, because I didn't fully understand it to the point where I could explain it. But basically there's a lock on the engram. So now whoever won in that period. So say, uh, um, well, basically, if you got punched in the face and the dude is screaming at you during it, like "fuck you, fuck you, fuck you," the next time you get into a fight or a situation like that, your reactive mind's gonna run a script that says, "I lost. I was the victim in this situation." When somebody starts screaming fuck you, and then a punch is about to be thrown. So whenever I'm in any situation that kind of resembles that, my reactive mind's going to run that Engram script, and I'm going to try to pull into the valence of the dude who won. So now I'm going to be the fuck you guy because I don't want to be the victim anymore, and that's basically how the reactive mind works. Now when it comes into problems is that the reactive mind can't associate things differently. So basically, if you get into a situation where something happens, or he also talks about prenatal memory, that because it's held at the cell level, you have prenatal memory. Now, you can get a script from, say your mom bumps into a table and gets hurt, and then somebody screams, "You're so worthless, you're stupid, just stay put." Now, as a kid, when you might hear this, like, "You're so worthless, you're so stupid," it's going to run a script that's like, "Stay put." You're going to remember the language, and now that you understand language as a kid, it's going to make sense, and that's what you're going to attribute the meaning to. And then you're also going to attribute the sound of moving a table as "stay put." Like, your reactive mind associates everything as everything. So if there's water running in that scenario, when you hear water running, you might feel like you need to stay put and not move. And you won't understand why you make those actions. Same thing as being hypnotized. But he basically says that during those. And I know that was pretty complicated, but you got to read the book. The main points is the reactive mind and the analytical mind. So then he kind of talks about how you get rid of this. They're making a claim the only way you can get rid of it is Dianetic therapy, no psychology, and basically all the old forms of thought of ways to help people is kind of just outdated, is what he's saying. Because he also talks about at the end that Dianetics will be outdated, which is fair because that's how science works. But there's basically the pre-clear, the release, and then the clear. Your goal is you want to be the clear, but that could take hundreds of hours of Dianetic therapy, according to them. Most of us are pre-clears. We run on Engrams, and we run on our reactive mind. And this phenomena will be times where, like, you do shit that you're like, "Why the fuck did I do?" Like, I know I shouldn't do that. Or you get mad at somebody for no reason. Or you're talking to somebody, and then you see a part of them that's like not them. Like, where'd that come from? And basically, this book makes the case that that's your reactive mind taking over and acting and running out a script. And what you want is you want to remove all the engrams that force your reactive mind to run these scripts. And when you do that, when you remove a few, you'll be a release. So you'll feel a lot of tension off of you, and you'll run on less scripts. When you're a clear, you won't have any more, and you won't get any more, because now your analytical mind will be in control in the sense of it won't let your reactive mind get these engrams and stuff without your own consent. Like, you'll be able to basically decipher it for yourself. But his big case of why you have so many is because, one, you don't know about Dianetic therapy, and then two, you get a lot of these prenatally. Like, he talks about, like, you can have 100 to 200 scripts done prenatally, where your mom might bump into a table, maybe taking a shit, and the womb is so tight it knocks you unconscious over and over again. And then whatever you're hearing during those moments are creating engrams. So there could be dysfunction in your family that you've heard a billion times, and he makes the case that you don't, I don't want to call it memory, because it's not memory. He talks about it as being recall, but your cells know everything that's ever happened to you. And that's a big case that he tries to push. But I know this might have been a little bit confusing, but I thought the book was very informative for me. It really made me start to think and try to see what I could recall of my life from the past. And you start to think of things, and he does talk about the fact that you can't clear yourself or release yourself, so you got to go through the therapy. I mean, if I find somebody that does it, or somebody else that read it, maybe I'll like fuck around and do it. The book basically will teach you how to be an auditor, is what it's called, basically being the kind of therapist. So like, after you read the book, you have everything to do it. You just can refer to it. But I like the book. I thought it taught me a lot. made me think about, because there's definitely times where I feel like, why the fuck did I do that? And then I'll start thinking, it's like, whoa, my mom's kind of doing. Maybe that's like something that's kind of been like an engram that's been placed somewhere that I'm doing the same thing, or different things like that. So it's like, it makes you really think about what's going on in your life and why you do certain things that you do. And then I thought it kind of like, I feel like I released a little bit from just hearing the book and just hearing the different situations and thinking about the so-called things, or even just thinking about people I know and what happened. But I thought it was good. It was very informative, just alone on the reactive mind versus analytical mind. Like, I think that piece alone for anybody can be very tangible, very useful, because there is this like kind of like these two sides that you're trying to battle all the time, where it's like, you know, you should do something, but for some reason you just do this other shit and you don't know why, and really trying to break that down. So for me, I thought that was very useful. I don't know why I got such bad reviews. I could probably take a stab at it. I mean, it was written in, I'm pretty sure it was written in America. Very, very Christian-based country. And possibly the fact that it doesn't really dabble into a lot of religion, but if you know about Dianetics, it is the basis of Scientology. So maybe on a religious front, it just never really was accepted because of that. And it doesn't disprove anything, but it's not necessarily complementary to a lot of, I mean, I don't know a lot of religions. I mean, I'm not Christian, but I've heard a lot about it. A lot of my friends are, so it's not exactly super complementary to it. So, I mean, I'm sure you could fit it in to have them both make sense, but that would be my biggest guess, is that people have a negative stigma towards Scientology for maybe religious reasons or other reasons, because it's just gotten a negative publicity. But that's pretty much that. Dianetics, L. Ron Hubbard. I thought it was a great book. Definitely a great read or listen. I listened to it. I can't imagine reading it. It must be thick as hell. That book was long as fuck. But pretty much it's like the reactive mind versus the analytical mind. That's probably the major takeaway that I would say to take from this. All the other parts, I'm going to be honest, I probably didn't understand the book fully enough to really grasp everything. But I wanted to put it up because it got terrible reviews, and I want to give it like a positive review. I thought there was nothing in it that I listened to that I didn't feel like either made some kind of sense or they backed it up. They backed up what they were saying, in my opinion. So that's pretty much it. If you like the content, please click the like button, click the subscribe button, leave some comments below, and until next time, peace.